All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into this episode of this podcast. I'm here with Kenny, who is an SEO expert. He has his own agency called the Organic Mindset Agency, which helps small and medium businesses with SEO results. I'm a complete novice to SEO. I've heard about it. I've connected with a lot of experts, Kenny being one of the best ones that I've come across here. So I really wanted to use this opportunity to pick his brain to understand, really selfishly for myself, how to use SEO, but also to share kind of my journey and my experience utilizing SEO for my business. So Kenny, thanks so much for joining us here today. Why don't you give yourself an introduction? I know I give you
It's my
one, but why don't you give
pleasure.
yourself? Yeah.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it, Alex. So my name's Kenny Perry, and I am the founder of Organic Mindset Agency. We're a digital marketing agency that specializes in search engine optimization, online advertising, which you can also refer to as PPC, pay per click, as well as marketing material enhancement. So that could be anything from website creation to flyers to business cards, promotional videos, customized surveys, pretty much like a one-stop shop for anything that you need on a marketing basis. So we are based in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. That's where I'm located, but I also have my business registered in Delaware as well. So I actually operate and deal with a lot of like people within the US as well as Canada. So, and I'm actually a dual citizen. So I actually have the ability to be back and forth between Canada and the United States. So the good thing about us is what makes us stand out from other agencies is we have very tailored, customized packages. And what I mean by that is we have packages that suit the needs of pain points for particular businesses. So, for instance, we're not going to have the same kind of business for someone, the same type of package for someone who's an HVAC company as we would for somebody who's a financial advisor, in a sense. And we really focus on pain points, addressing those pain points up front, because I really like to compare it to malpractice, for instance. I like to compare it to doctors. So, in order to prescribe something, you need to have an understanding as to what the pain points are, and you need to understand on the solution, and you have to understand on how to really help that individual not only get better, but in this case reach their goals ultimately, from a marketing perspective.
And what's the solution that SEO solves? Or what's the
So
I'm sorry, what's the problem? What is this? Yeah, what's the problem that SEO solves for a medium and small business?
okay, so I'm going to give a little bit of a lesson here, like in terms of like kind of giving it kind of a start to finish and try to break it down as clear as I can possibly can. So SEO is essentially search engine optimization. So what that means is when you go on Google and you type in, let's just say coffee shop near me, I'm going to use coffee shop for instance. A lot of the time it's going to appear at the top, depending where you're located, is like Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, McDonald's, places like that are, franchised, and they have large budgets, and normally you'll see at the top next to their business, like ad, you'll see it in small letters. That means they're paying top dollar for the top of the line advertising. So what search engine optimization does is it crawls the web and it makes sure that everything is aligned. So just because let's just say you have your own coffee shop called Alex's Coffee, just because your information is correct on Google, may not be correct on Yellow Pages, may not be correct on Bing, may not be correct on Apple. So therefore, what we do as my agency is we make sure that your information is correct across the boards, making sure that there's nothing that's going to fall into the cracks, even if it's something as simple as an email or a phone number being off. We make sure that everything is completely optimized across all of the publications. And that increases and that helps with the ranking.
So does that include, because I focus on social media, does that include all of our social media accounts too?
Yeah, I mean, if you have social media, because what I generally do is when I'm prospecting and I'm connecting with people and looking for ways that I can actually help their business and whatnot, is I send them reports, and what the report does is it really breaks down and owns in on one, is everything consistent? So it does show whether or not they have social media handles or whatnot. And if their social media handles are actually showing on their Google My Business profile or showing across the web in any which way possible. So that's actually listed on there as well. So we do show them, okay, whether or not it is optimized. If you want to have your social media linked to it, we could actually go in and link your social media to your Google My Business page and making sure that it's consistent across the web as well.
So I really want to dive into this because I think about when I'm branding my business, it's hard to come up with kind of a brand, right? A lot of people have a lot of trouble with that. Like, is my brand my name? Is it my business name? Should I come up with a business name? If my name is being used by other people, I'm not the only Alex Hit in the world. That's kind of weird, but I'm not. So when we're thinking about our username and that consistency, should our username be the same as our URL to our website? And should it be, the same on every single platform in your recommendation?
Yeah, I mean, we do recommend that. I mean, because like it depends on also too, like whether or not you have your business branded and whether or not you have it copyrighted in a sense. And what I mean by that is, if you have, blue marketing 123, that's probably something that's very, optimized. And not only that, it's very common. So it's like if you have something that stands out, like what I mean, like blue sky restoring, marketing, for instance, or services. Therefore, you're going to be able to really kind of create that that patent and have that consistent across the board. I mean, it really depends on one, how click friendly your name is, and on top of that, how common your name is as well. Because I mean, like for instance, if you have a company called, I don't know, let's say light marketing, for example, that's it's very, very common that you could come across another business with that name, and therefore it can be a lot harder to really make sure that your information is consistent across the board, because you may have to add a number to it, you may have to add the to it, or you may have to add to the CO behind it. So you have to add maybe something to it to make it actually get that handle actually designated.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Because I've struggled with that a lot in my business. Right now my business is called the TikTok for Business Group. Really bad name, I think, for SEO. Would you agree? Because TikTok for Business is not really the business, but it's used by TikTok, right? So
Correct.
that's
Yeah.
probably something that's probably a pretty weak SEO term. Would you agree?
Yes and no. I mean, like it also depends on whether or not like you have certain tags that you also associate with that and whatnot. And what I mean by that, like for instance, if you're on social media and you have that name patent and whatnot, and then you have like certain hashtags that are designated to your business, it's really going to help you with your social media in terms of getting your outreach and everything out there. I mean, like yeah, TikTok for Business is a very simple name, and it is something that you could come across in terms of running into other businesses that may have that name, or that those letters are going to be optimized. But from an optimization point of view, if someone types that in, it's very click friendly. So
Okay.
therefore you can get a lot of traffic drove to your website just because someone types that in, right?
Well, that's what I was kind of thinking. I was thinking of like kind of, I don't know. I don't want to put myself in a hard spot here, but kind of like, you know, getting close to something that people would be searching for. And then just
Yeah.
through a matter of them searching for that, even though I'm not really optimizing for SEO, I'm kind of like hijacking in a way the searches on that particular result, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to look at it that way.
Maybe you can look at it that way. Um, you know, it seemed from this is kind of my series, kind of probing into the SEO world. Really, from my understanding of it, they're pulling from a lot of things, but it seems like a lot of times when you're talking to somebody from SEO, they're really talking about it from one particular your home website, right? And by
Mhm.
adding a lot of information into the singular website to tell Google, then there's also these other things called backlinks, which I think are on other websites. Or I
Yeah.
don't know, can you give us an overview of like if someone's like, okay, they want to be found on Google, right? What are they really looking to do at the very beginning instead of maybe some of the more complex things? Should they be creating a website, and then what are they putting on the website to make it so it can be found through SEO?
Okay, yeah, that's a great question. So essentially, I'm just going to actually compare it to the packages that my agency actually offers. So like a lot of the time, we want to when we connect with a potential client, and we're prospecting, and we're going through kind of brainstorming what their goals are, what their target audience is, and whatnot. We want to find out first of all if they're looking to get national viewings. Okay, if you're looking for national, then we have to up it a little bit, up the the traffic and everything's going to be drove to it. Or if they're looking for local. So if they're looking for local, then we pretty much find the keywords that they're looking for. So if there's a keyword that they really want to focus on, like for example, let's just say HVAC company, because that's something that's very common, whether you're in a hot climate or a cooler climate. With the climate changing, especially where I am, it's people are going to always have their heaters fixed and whatnot. So like if they type in like let's just say there's keywords like they type in like near me or like HVAC company near me, for example, they type that in, then therefore what my team does is they're going to basically go work on the back end, make sure that they have certain words aligning to the website. So making sure that everything is actually tying back to the website, making sure that that there's going to be traffic that's going to be drove there, and making sure that the backlinks and the citations on the back end are consistent across the web. So it's going through all the publications, not just Google, making sure everything's consistent. Therefore, it's going to go ahead and increase the optimization of the actual business.
Okay. So if someone has their own created, I'm kind of confused here on is Google literally scanning all these websites, or like how are they getting this information on your website and deciding to put it into Google? Like it's just literally scanning all the websites on the internet, or how is it getting this information about your website?
Yeah, so like basically what the optimization is, it's just everything is like I said, like when it comes to like if someone's doing like a search engine optimization campaign, it's just like, those keywords that are being focused on are pretty much being worked on the back end with the backlinks and everything like that. Because the backlinks and citations is really what's going to make sure that the optimization score is going to increase on the back end. So having that consistent, having that, making sure across the web, like, if I pull up a report right now, which I'm not going to because it's confidentiality for people that I've run reports for or whatnot, it actually we have like a list of different publications, like whether it's, yellow pages or whatnot. And if there's like an X next to it, then that means their information is not correct on there. So what, we essentially do, and then there's other programs like Yext and whatnot that are automated programs to make sure that, there's information that's going to be consistent across the web. And normally it's not an overnight process. It's like a 3 to 7 month rough process to really make sure that everything is consistent across the web. So having said that, even when it comes to like, let's say you're driving in your car and you type in, a certain shop that you're looking for and whatnot, making sure that even the directions on there, that's going to impact optimization as well. Like making sure that the address is correct. Like, let's just say if you're in a plaza and you're in unit B, but, for whatever reason, your unit is not listed on, Google and whatnot. So we want to make sure that's all consistent all the way across the board. So that's pretty much what's done on the back end when it comes to making sure that everything's intact.
Could you walk me through, like, okay, you start off with a business, they have a website. Are you redoing their entire website, or are you just
Okay, so when it comes to an actual website, it honestly goes on like it depends on whether or not they want to have a website, recreated from scratch or whatnot. But if they don't want to have their website recreated from scratch or whatnot, there's a whole process of actually following up front, seeing what they want to actually have listed, like what are the actual words that they want to actually have, listed and whatnot, what they want to actually have running and whatnot. So finding out these keywords up front and really diving into, okay.
I think about this, and maybe this is an example, or maybe you can talk about this, but like when I look up a recipe on Google, I just want like the recipe. But what actually shows up is when you look up a recipe, you go to the website and it's like this blog post of like, I went to my grandma's house, and it's like this 7-page long article.
That's some search engine optimization.
And you can't even find the recipe. And
That's
so is that so when but I guess it's so when
that's impacting the ranking.
Yeah. So I mean that's I guess that's really bad, but it's so weird that Google, I don't know, has it structured like that, because like I said, it doesn't actually lead to the information that I want to find. It just leads to that most SEO optimized search result.
Correct. Yeah. So that's like pretty much what you're saying is that's pretty much like a lot of search engine optimization stuff that's not on the back end. That's helping that actual business rank higher, or the product or whatnot.
Tell me about the Google My Business page, because I keep hearing about this. I definitely don't have a Google My Business page. It's kind of like a social media profile, I think. I have no idea though. What is a Google My Business page?
So a Google My Business page is essentially like, it's almost like, if you want to look at it, it's almost like, I would say like a profile picture, or like when it comes to like, or like in the dating world, like a Tinder profile, where it kind of like shows like, okay, one, where the business is located, two, photos of the business if they have photos on there, if they have photos of like their products or their recipes or ingredients, anything like that. And then it has also a ton of it has ratings on there as well, whether people think positively or negatively, or if they don't have any ratings at all, maybe they're fairly new and they don't have a lot of ratings and whatnot on there. And what that essentially does is it lets you know whether or not, anything you pretty much want to know about that business will be normally listed on the Google My Business profile. So the goal of most businesses is to get to that first page. So whether, you're on the 6th page, 5th page, 8th page, whatever, a lot of the time they want to get to that first page, because like when you go on to Google, we call it the 4-pack or the 5-pack, depending on what type of device you're using. So if you're using a phone, it could be a 3-pack. If you're using a tablet, it could be a 4-pack, depending on how big the device is you're looking at. What's going to appear when you type in whatever you're looking for, whether it's marketing agency near me or a financial advisor near me. Like I said, all the way at the top, you're going to have, the companies with the huge budgets, like, whether if you're looking for a financial firm, whether it's, Raymond James or or um, so the New York Life, one of the big time companies. And then underneath, if you'll have like locally kind of businesses that are there that have like a pretty good following or whatnot, they're going to be rated on there as well. And then as you go through the pages, you're going to see the companies that are actually listed. As you go all the way down to 15th, 16th pages, they may even have great ratings, but the reason why they're ranked low is because their optimization across the board is not consistent. That could also be a reason as to why they're ranked low. So essentially what a Google My Business page is.
So when you go, like I think of my kind of, use examples, when I go and I look up the restaurant locally, on the right side of the Google page, you'll see it as some of the pictures and the reviews and, the website and that's the Google My Business page, right? And that's not generated automatically. That's something that every business who has that has to go out and intentionally set up.
Yeah, businesses absolutely should. It must, unless you operate solely in an online space. Like if you do, like say for example, like there are a lot of businesses that operate solely in an online space, and let's just say they have their home addresses, like their headquarters or whatever. They'll put like an approximate address. They'll put like a almost like an intersection in a sense where they're like, oh, we're kind of at this section. So it may or may not be approved by Google, because once you actually create that, Google has to go in and review it. And sometimes it can take 2 or 3 weeks, sometimes even a month to review, and sometimes even sooner, because they want to understand the legitimacy of the address that's being put there. Because a lot of times where people are located in different locations, they could have a PO box set up, and therefore it can, Google can look at it and be like, oh, they're going to reject it, and they'll take down or suspend your profile and ask you to provide more information. So these are also things that people run into that operate in an online space that don't necessarily have, a quote unquote headquarters, a head office or whatever, but they want to have like a presence with Google My Business. So those are some of the kind of like, I guess the issues that they can run into, that a business can actually run into as well. That, it's good to also have like, if you're paying for like a space, for example, or like almost like a virtual office, there are those options as well, but you just want to make sure that, Google reviews it first and they actually approve it, because if not, it can get suspended and actually have it taken down. And then you have to send additional information to Google to have it actually unsuspended. So that's something also to be mindful of also. And not only that too, it's a lot of things on there that are consistent. Like you want to make sure your hours are consistent, even if you're in an online space, like the hours that you actually operate. So do you operate, whether it's 8 in the morning to 8 at night, or 11 to 6, 9 to 5, you want to make sure that those are all intact as well as holiday hours also, because it's something that people have to think about, because you don't go through holiday seasons or whatnot. You want to make sure your holiday hours are actually set up as well, because like if you have someone that's on like a Thanksgiving, Thursday, that's like, they love your coffee shop or whatever, and they want to know if you have, limited hours. They think you're maybe open at, 6, which is your original time, but you're actually opening later at 9, and then it's actually 1. And then that's going to impact as well, because, people that, really enjoy coming to your establishment want to know that actually when they can actually come into, obviously enjoy your product and whatnot.
So it wouldn't be a good idea to use my home address for my Google My Business page.
I mean,
if we're an online, it just yeah, it always just comes back to me. But like, because when I create the Google My Business, or when I think I was looking into it, like you said, one of the first questions is where you're located. I'm like, I don't know, I don't want to do my home address, right? But I don't have a physical business address, right?
Yeah. It's there's a lot of companies as well that are local. They have like quote unquote like stationary type offices. Like there's a company called, for example, spaces. Co-working spaces, correct. Yeah. So there are those businesses as well where you could actually, pay a fee and have a location actually set up at a certain location where your mail can come and everything like that. If someone needs to reach you for whatever reason, even if you do operate an online space as well. So those are also alternatives as well that people can actually use.
Okay, yeah, that's good advice. I did see that at one of the co-working spaces here locally. It was like, oh, you can have your PO box here. And when I Google some of the, when I look at like the locations, you see like 17 businesses in this one tiny little co-working space.
Exactly.
Right?
It'll have like unit or suite or something like that, right?
Does that have a negative effect on those businesses to be clustered in with these 17 other businesses all on top of? I mean, does that have an effect on the Google ranking of it? No, not really.
No. At the end of the day, it's like, are you good at the service that you offer? Is your company reputable at the end of the day? And then besides that, I mean, like, if you operate primarily in an online space and like you don't really meet with people face to face, or for whatever reason, like people, reach you virtually, then doesn't really make a difference. I mean, it's cool, yeah, if you have rankings on there, great. But if not, then honestly, even just having that address there, so if someone needs to send you something or you need to get, letters from the IRS or something, you could actually, there are a lot of different businesses that will actually open your mail for you, store your stuff, keep it in there for you. So it's actually like having almost like a virtual kind of like secretary where your mail and everything actually goes to that location and everything. So you're still having a quote unquote, headquarters, even if you work solely at home or an online space. So those are things people can be mindful of as well when it comes to starting a business. Google My Business profile also.
Is there a better, if we're looking at between like to locate our business in Montana or LA, is there any effect on that?
Well, when it comes to that, it really comes down to tax purposes. I mean, like depending on the state that you're in, obviously, like I'm not going to go way too much into it because I'm not a tax specialist, but like there are
Right.
states that have better tax breaks compared to other states, right? So it's like if you have your business registered, for example, in, like some of the more favorable states are like Delaware, Nevada, I believe New Jersey, if I'm not mistaken. I believe Montana, Wyoming. That these states, for example, are very common for people to open businesses there, whether it's an S corp or an LLC, simply because of the tax, basically like the tax rates and everything like that in these particular states. So therefore, people will open they can't be living in, I don't know, Seattle and have a business registered in Nevada, for example, because of X, Y, and Z.
Well, I appreciate your time today, Kenny, and for sharing your knowledge and for offering, to help people out here. And yeah,
Oh,
we'll
for
share
sure,
this. And
definitely.
yeah, I appreciate your time.
Awesome. Yeah. So if anyone wants to get in touch with me, please, you can shoot me an email. It's Kenny at organic-mindset.com. And, I'm more than happy, if you have a business established and you have a GMB profile, Google My Business. So I'm more than happy to send over a complimentary search engine optimization report, and not only the search engine optimization report as well as the Google My Business report. And if anyone wants to connect, then I'm more than happy to do that for them as well.
Cool. Thanks, Kenny.
All
I
right.
encourage everyone to
Thanks.
take advantage of that. It's a great offer. All right.
All right.
Thanks,
Thanks a
Kenny.
lot.
We'll talk to you
Appreciate
later.
it. Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks a lot. All right. Have a good one. Bye.